1, 2, 34. Last episode, yada yada yada, big ding 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 happened. Then the religious was over here, but let's now continue. To England, actually, since England collapsed and we just didn't talk about England. So Anglian troops are moving in. They are capturing the Mercian rebels while the Northlands are based. Mercians was one major city. Due to that, the Mercian line eventually collapses. Cumbria decides to move in and establishes these territories as its own, liberating these territories for control, but that's not true for the Northumbrians, which become a small neutral state. And of course the Irish. They form new settlements, expand, do normal things. And this time we're going to see the Ugandan Civil War. This would mainly encompass the societal tensions between the Congolese population and the home in the Great Rift area. It would be mainly a fight between brothers, and the two brothers are relatively different. This area would be more focused on development, cutting down trees, while this area is focused on trade and farming. Buildings versus RDOs. So EU 5 players basically. This new the Congolese Empire would have a capital over here. But the start of the Civil War wouldn't be nice, okay? Well, at first Ugandan troops would be able to succeed. Eventually it dies down with the treaty claiming that all major cities outside of the Western Empire, which before that the empire was divided into two administrative halves, the Western and the Eastern area. The Western area was areas in the Congo River, and the rest were basically everything else. The Western Empire was made due to the very low connectivity to the two regions, and now they officially split. There would be even more things happening over here, with the Gold Coast expanding finally and conquering these tribes. At first they are just thinking about more gold, but then they decide to expand agriculture. They colonize up the Niger River. They quickly move down here. And they quickly establish colonies down here. Now currently they are encircling these populations, and the colonists are doing a great job in expanding this relatively low population and trading empire into a full-on African superpower. And rivers and lakes and water is a huge part of this expansion. This expansion would bring the formation of of the empire of the Gold Coast Empire. And over the continuation of 100 years, the population would boom by 15 times. New cities would be established like houses built in days. And over the centuries, this country will become the dominant, the dominant empire, restore, restoring the world. And and with Africa now being divided, specifically Sub-Saharan Africa being divided with 4 factions: the Gold Coast Empire, the Western Empire of the Congo, and the Eastern Empire of Uganda, and and the Confederation of Kenya. By the way, these areas are not like rivals per se. They are relatively neutral to each other. So I'll give them the the, the feudal thing, since Africa is also becoming feudal. It's spreading pretty fast over there. And of course Caucasia. I haven't touched on them for a long time. They basically been a punching ground and a melting pot of cultures and religions. As you can see here, there are 3 different ones. The one of them being the the steppe variant or the barbarian variant. I like to call it the original. This is the original, more pagan, the original version that's more akin, that with more unique practices. The Taiyan religion, which mainly took hold in areas that were politically or socially tolerant or very weak. The Mediterranean wars were great for this expansion, and now they've become the largest religion in Europe. Second being the French, and the third being Roman. So this causes the country to split into a lot of groups. Firstly, we have the Taiyan religion republic. They are mainly over here on the coast. They are raided by Ukraine and especially Iberia, but Iberia is too far. And the steppe hordes, which were at first grateful for their saving against the nomadic empire, would grow distrustful of the Central Caucasian administration. This would cause the Caucasian Confederacy to split in 3 different countries: Alania, Abkhazia, and Caucasus and Iberia. Iberia, due to Iberia losing its power, its ability to stay as a buffer state, it becomes a blue team vassal. The red team is worried about blue team expansion in the Caucasus. They strike back with an tributary invasion of Vaspoplan. whilst Pophan gets easily captured. The red team decides to take the red team decides to take these areas. The red team decides to take these areas. And the rest will be turned into a tributary state. Why is my nose kind of doing that? Oh, does it? So the tribute state in Armenia has already formed. But let's look at Asia for now, specifically India. This is the sheer weakness of these tribes. One of them decides to plead for protection from, of course, the Central Indian Confederation against, of course, the Indic Empire, while the other decides to just do nothing and Seoul will become vassal of the Indic Empire. Well, thus the three-way Indian Cold War has begun with the Bengal Empire, the Central Indian Empire, and the Indic Empire. Eventually, the Norwegians expand on the northern coast, and that's where they stop. So let's look at here. Firstly, the Circle Alliance is basically dead. Well, over here the Cumbrians have a very independent capital, which the Scots see as an advantage. So they quickly raid the capital, conquer it. The king is there. He's not in a grand tour. The king gets defeated, and now all of Cumbria and the northern Cumbria gets annexed, while Northumbria claims the Mercia region. With this, Scotland has finally established control. Over here we'll see two countries, this being the Eastern Khaganate and the Stanistan Khaganate. They are going to go into another war. And let's actually we have enough time for the first war. The war actually starts by the Eastern Turkestanis seeing the Fergana Valley as an important area, moving into it and easily capturing it. Without the Fergana Valley, this country would be basically useless steppe nomads. They intervene, they strike back. They go capture the city. they also started with their horse archers moving in a lot of cities. And of course the maneuver. And that's where I'll end the video today. Thank you for watching, and please